And Senator John Thune joins us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Greta.
Back to town.
Thank you.
Your thoughts about Jonathan Gruber, professor from MIT?
Well, I mean, this is why the American people are so cynical about, you got a Washington elite now basically calling them stupid.
Not basically, actually.
Actually calling them stupid. And what's really ironic about this is because I remember during the debate on Obamacare, they constantly were waving around this Jonathan Gruber MIT economist analysis as a validation that it would actually lower costs, it would reduce the deficit, all these promises that were made. And I think a lot of Democrats in the Senate voted for it based upon, predicated upon this guy's analysis because he was supposed to be so right. And now he comes out and basically tell they were hoodwinking the American people. Yeah,
and when he makes reference to ObamaCare, that $400 million, that sort of financed ObamaCare in Massachusetts was actually federal tax dollars. And of course, the federal government isn't going to get financed by, I mean, China's not going to come and finance this for it or whatever.
No, and that's the thing about this. It's the American taxpayer gets left holding the bag. And, all these promises that were made, all these statements that he made at the time to try to convince members of Congress and the American public that somehow this was a good thing has now been completely disproven. What you're seeing is higher premiums, higher deductibles, higher copays, and it's going to add enormous sums to the deficit over time, no question about it.
It's hard almost to get to his substantive thought. He's so insulting to the American people and to the system, and even talking about the dirty little secret behind ObamaCare as though like he's hoodwinking everybody, and that it's sort of a game, like calling Americans stupid, talking about hoodwinking, talking about we can only get it passed because there is no transparency. I mean, it's really, I guess that's why I can't even get to the substance. I'm so offended by him.
Yeah, and I think that's the reaction a lot of people have. I mean, I get an email from my brother in Bismarck, North Dakota, and he sees this thing and he's like, what can you do anything about this? Can you get this thing repealed now? And I think the arrogance that comes out of Washington, D.C. that this guy represents is why the American people are so completely disgusted.
All right, so you own the Senate now. You Republicans, why not hold a hearing and ask him who else had this thought, who he talked to, get some information out of him?
Well, I think we will. I don't have any question that there will be opportunities now that we have the majority.
Would you like to do that?
I'd love to do that, and it'd be great to get him to come in and answer and give account for some of these things that he said about the American people.
Can you force him to?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I suspect that discussion will be held.
With the new majority leader, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Senator, I want to ask you about another issue, the renewed debate on the Keystone pipeline. The tight Senate race in Louisiana bringing the controversy back to the forefront. Both the House and the Senate are planning votes on the pipeline. Boy, this is going to be interesting, isn't it? This sort of dueling. Senator Landrieu in the Senate, and then you have Congressman Cassidy, who's challenging her in the House. Dueling bills.
Well, if the Democrats had been half as concerned about creating jobs for the American people as they are about saving the job of one politician in Louisiana, this would have been done years ago. I mean, this is now 6 years into this process. The Democrats have been blocking it. The president's been blocking it. And what's really going to be interesting to see is if, in fact, the Democrats in the Senate now flip and decide to vote for it, what does the president do?
What do you think he's going to do?
Well, I mean, I think that, they've gotten some statements from him. He's traveling in Asia, but it doesn't sound like he's going to support it. So they could be going through this whole exercise for naught. But it just goes to show you the lengths to which people will go here in Washington, D.C. to play politics with an issue that is so important to the American people. My home state of South Dakota, according to the president's own State Department, says this would create 3,000 to 4,000 jobs, $100 million in earnings, $20 million in property tax revenue. It's a no-brainer.
Do you have the votes to override a veto if the president vetoes it?
Well, that's the good question. Probably not in this Congress, maybe in the next. We'll have more Republicans.
Senator, thank you. Nice to see you, sir.
Thanks, Greta. Great to be with you.